Hi, I'm Andrea and welcome to Crash Little Things channel, and today I'm going to make this triangular gift box. All my projects this week are going to have a Valentine's theme. This one hasn't got a Valentine's theme, as you can see, because it's just a prototype. I was just trying something out last night. I made a card recently that had this sort of triangle fold like a Star of David, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I can put that on the top of a box as a closure, and so I have done. So this box is quite, I haven't made it other than this box is quite a nice size. It's 3.5 by 3.5 on each side, and it just opens by opening up this top piece. I'm going to finish it off with some ribbon on the Valentine's version I'm going to do. But yeah, it's a nice size. You could fit a couple of bits in there. You could fit some little cosmetic bits. You could put some chocolates in. You could put anything in. You could bury an engagement ring in there and it'd be a total surprise. There's all sorts of things you could do. You could even fit in, I guess you could fit in a little scarf or something, little silk scarf or something. So it's quite a nice size box, and it's a great sort of box to disguise something in, like a piece of jewellery or something, because you wouldn't expect that to contain jewellery. So I'm going to get started. There's quite a lot of cutting and stuff to this one, but I'm going to get started. So what you need, I'm going to do mine in, and I don't know how this is going to look because I haven't tried it yet, but I'm doing it in Peekaboo Peach, because I'm picking out the Peekaboo Peach from this speciality paper. It seems to have powder pink, berry burst, fresh fig and Peekaboo Peach and gold in it. So I'm going to pick that out. And so you need a piece of Peekaboo Peach which measures 8 by 11 inches. Now I've made this, I sort of struggled with the dimensions of this because I wanted to make it so that you could get it out of a piece of A4. So I've done that, so 8 by 11. And then what you need is 3 panels of 2 3/4 by 2 3/4. Sorry, 3 panels of 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. Just be careful with this paper, because this pattern, because at one end it's sort of blank at the end of the sheet. I haven't got the other sheet to show you, but it's kind of blank at the end of the sheet. So just be careful, because otherwise you can end up with sort of an empty space. I mean, I managed to sort of salvage it somehow, but yeah. Then for the top, you need 6 panels that measure 3 1/4 by 2 7/8. Okay, 3 1/4 by 2 7/8. That measurement might be changeable. You might adapt it and make that a bit shorter. I think it could possibly be a bit shorter, but we'll leave it at that for now. And then just for the sentiment, what I'm going to do is I'm using the reverse of this pattern, and I'm going to just add a piece of Whisper White, which I'm going to heat emboss with Life Looks Beautiful on You from the Beautiful You set. So I'm going to do that in a minute. So first things first, then we need to score up this sheet. Now it's up to you how you do it. You can do it on your scoreboard if you want, or you can do it on your trimmer. I'm going to use my trimmer for this because my trimmer is going to come in handy for helping me to cut my angles and stuff. So on the long side, you want to score, you need your little arm out, bring my little foot down so it's level. On the long side, move your cutting blade out of the way. You want to score at 3 1/2 and pass that a couple of times, and 7. Can't see. It's a really dull day today. And you want to score at 10 1/2. And that end little flap will be what you use to glue together, and just be aware of that, because for the cutting, the marking for the cutting, you just need to be aware that you don't include this, so you'll be okay anyway. So now we'll turn it over, and if we put only because this sort of helps a little bit, if you put your short little piece that's scored at the bottom, and then you score at 1.5, and then at 5, and then at 6, okay, so that's your scoring done for that piece. And now what you want to do is you want to mark your long side, but make sure that this short little flat piece is at the right hand side. So from the left side, then you want to make a little mark at 1 3/4 inches, and you can make that a little cut, or you can make it a little score mark. 5 1/4 inches, and 8 3/4 inches. And what that's just doing is giving you that midpoint on each section. And you also need to mark it at the bottom, sorry. So 8 3/4, 5 1/4, sorry, I forgot about the mark in the bottom, and 1 3/4. But that just went through those measurements. Now, what you want to do is you want to pop your scoring blade out of the way. And now we need the cutting blade. And well, you can either use a cutting blade, or you can draw a line. From what you're doing is you're going to make points at the bottom and at the top. So you can either draw a line from your little mark here to your corners and just cut along that. You can freehand just cut along. You can use your trimmer, or you can do whatever you want. Use whatever you want, however suits you. But just remember, at the bottom, we're cutting up to the first score line, the ends of the first score line. At the top, don't worry, because I'm going to show you how to do it. At the top, we're cutting to the second. Don't cut to this one. You're cutting down to the second score line, okay? So if we line up that little notch there, can you see? Do you want me to zoom in a little bit? Oh, zoom in. If we're lining up that little notch there, I'll move it into this. Do you know what I'll do? I'll just grab a pencil and just draw on our little notch. So there's our little notch. So we're lining that up with this score line here. So pop that in until you've got both of those in the cutting track, and then you'll be able to see you've got them in the right place, because you'll be able to see them through the window. And then just cut that off, okay? And now you want to do the same thing. You want to line up the point now with this, get this little cross here into your cutting track. So you can see you've got the point in sight there, and you've got that little cross that just doesn't want to come through, so it just, that's the trimmer's fault, not anyone else. Okay, so you're going to cut down to there. It's made a bit of a mess of that, and then you're going to do the same on the other side. So you're going to come from there down to where you've just cut. So get your centre point in the window and cut down to there, and then that piece will come away. Okay, and that's discarded. And then we're going from that point again down to this point here. Just zoom you out again. So we're going from that point to point, okay? Now, if you don't want to use your trimmer, you can, right, if you don't want to use your trimmer, you can just use your scissors. And all you're doing is you're creating this zigzag effect. I'm a bit annoyed that the trimmer's ripped that to pieces. So all you're doing is you're just cutting from here down to there, and from here down to there. You can't really go wrong. And on this side, you're still doing the same thing. You're not going to through your flap, you're just going to that line there. So that flap at the side, you don't cut through that, okay? So that can come off. Okay? That is so annoying that that's happened. Anyway, never mind. So at the bottom then, we do the same thing from the midpoint to where those two lines cross. From the midpoint to where those two lines cross. And we just cut these pieces out. I'm going to say I can't see it. Okay. If you want to stop yourself from getting confused, you might want to just cut away the end strip before you start. You don't want to cut all of it away, you just want to cut away the bottom section and the top section, because you want to leave this midsection to join it with, okay? So essentially that's it. So it's not as complicated as it seems. And these pieces can be used for another project that uses a similar sort of triangular design. So what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to pop that to one side, and I'm just going to grab my bone folder, and I'm just going to burnish these score lines. Now, these bottom pieces, I've turned it over. These bottom pieces need to be going upwards. It's not such a massive deal how you do your burnishing, but you know, I'm just going to try and keep you on track. And then that little flap goes over, because that's just the joining flap. And now these pieces go forward. All three of them go forward. It's just easier if you do, well, I just find it easy to do them so I don't catch the other one. And then these points come backwards. Okay? So those points come backwards. Okay? Now, you're going to have DSP on both sides of your tops. This is why we had 6 pieces. Now, how we cut that, well, before we cut that, we can take our 3 pieces of 3 and, what size was it again? 3 1/4. So here we have 3 1/4 by 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So there are pieces that go on the sides, so we can add those on now, and then they can be drying while we cut the others. So that's that. So we're just going to leave that to the side then while we do these pieces for the top. So if you watch the card tutorial that was very similar to this, you'll see how we do that. And what we do is we just mark on halfway on the long side. So on these, halfway on the long side is 1 6/8. So we need to mark 1 6/8 at the top of the paper, because this is directional paper. So you can do that just using your paper pad here, or you can use a ruler. I'm just going to use my paper pad. So we mark 1 6/8 on each one. At the top on the long side. Just remember these pieces aren't quite square. And that's the midpoint of the top. Midpoint of the side. And then this is what we want to end up with. So then what we do is we cut from the corner up to the midpoint that we've just marked. Now I'm going to use my trimmer for this because I do find that it works better for this. I found it easier to use the scissors for the other one. And I'm just going to get my pencil mark and my bottom corner in the cutting space, and I'm just going to cut. I think I'm ready for a new blade again. And I'm just going to cut a triangle like that. These pieces can then to one side. And then what I'm going to do is at 3/4 of an inch, I'm going to line that up at 3/4 of an inch. I could do it this way if I want, just might be a bit easier. At 3/4 of an inch, using this end now, I'm going to cut that off. And then I'm going to cut 1/2 inch off the bottom of the triangle. Okay, that went a bit skewy because the triangle moved in the trimmer. So we'll just do that again. I'm going to cut from the pencil mark in the middle down to each side, to each bottom corner. Try and hold it tight, and then I'm going to cut three-quarters of an inch off the bottom. And then I'm going to cut 1/2 inch off the bottom of the triangle, the smaller triangle. Okay, so if you do all of those, because you've got 6 of those, so now just bring your card back in. We're going to do the inside ones first. So just get your Tombow or whatever you're going to use and take your strips and glue them into place. Right, so while that's just drying, I'm just going to do my sentiment. I'm going to use my embossing stick and my Versamark. So now we're going to make this box. Now you might want to prefer to use tape for this, especially for this side piece, because you do have to hold it. It's not like when you normally make boxes where you can actually fold it in and it just sort of fits. That doesn't work with this. So you do have to kind of hold it together in a bit of a awkward fashion. But it works. Just keep everything lined up properly. Remember, you put your fingers inside and get it nice and square. And once you're there, pop it down on that flat side and just press down with your bone folder. And do press, don't scrub it because that'll slide it out of its where it's supposed to be. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to pop my bits inside so they don't get squashed while I do the bottom. And then I'm just going to put some glue along here, pop that down, and then that glue needs to be there really. And then I'm just going to pop some glue along here and along here and pop it down. And then the best way to get that to stick is to turn it over, pull your top out again, and then just use the bottom of your Tombow just to stick it down. Put your lid on. Now, as I said, you can, if you want, you can put, I mean that is sturdy enough, but if you wanted to just make it extra sturdy, you could just put a triangle on there. Use a triangle of your cardstock or of your DSP. It's up to you. I mean, you don't really need to, and if you're a business or a handmade business or whatever, you'll probably stick a label on there anyway, so it won't matter. So then this is how it closes. It's really cute, and our label goes on the front, so just decide which is your front. I'd usually go for the bit that didn't have the join on it, so that would be the front for me. So I'm going to just pop that maybe a bit further across, maybe a bit straighter, and then that'll just close like that, the same way the card did if you saw the card. Just do have to be a bit more careful because obviously there's nothing inside while it's an empty box, so just need to be a bit careful until you've got something in it. And then we're going to use the Berry Burst crinkled seam binding ribbon, and I'm just going to And there we have it, a beautiful little box. If you want your ribbon to stay, if you want it to stay there, just pop a couple of dimensionals or a glue dot or something, or glue your ribbon to your box if you want. If you want to make sure that it stays and it holds there. The other thing you can do is you can just pass it around like I did with the card, but just play with it and you'll find a way to get it to stay nice, and it's quite nice there on that sort of jaunty little angle. It's a real shame about that little piece there, but there you go. I think you'll agree that's a lovely cute little box. It's an unusual opening, and it's, see the gold embossing, looks beautiful. It's a really lovely box. I'm really pleased with that. So join me tomorrow for another Valentine's Day project.